I'm sorry.
Right.
You don't say I'm sorry because you're not sorry. You say
I'm really not.
no. But you're not sorry in the whole.
Right. I just want to say I apologize.
Right. I apologize. Or thank you for your patience.
Because when you look at the definition, you don't want to speak that over you.
Exactly. Thank you for your patience. That's how we do
Oh yeah.
it.
When we was little, and we saw out there, I'm sorry. She's like, you sure is sorry. I'm like, girl, bye. Like,
Exactly. And see, words have power. Now, some people would say it's a spell. That's why it's called spelling. Watch your words. And some of that is blah, but then some of it you gotta think about, where some of this stuff comes from and how we're made to believe certain things. And if we're told a thing long enough, we start believing it till we become older. For example, Christmas.
oh my gosh, this is such a good topic, y'all.
The Chopping Block is sponsored by Georgia One. Georgia One empowers women to advocate for climate, environmental, and social justice grounded in racial equity. Welcome back to the Chopping Block, where we chopping issues one at a time. So before we jump into our third part of our series with Mr. Stephen Cook and financial literacy through the lens of insurance, we dropping real jewels on life. This is some real wisdom right here. So y'all dive in. You see I'm leaning forward? Lean on in and get all this wisdom.
Lean back.
I'm Cornetta.
I'm Raven Imani.
And I'm Steve Cook.
And welcome back to the Chopping Block.
So, we just have to be conscious of what goes in. Because what's going in is coming out. And we just have to be aware of the stuff that we allow in our ear gate, eye gate, and what we believe. And the crazy thing is we don't question authority. Mom, dad. Well, why is
I do.
why is Santa Claus?
Not real.
What you mean he come down the chimney?
A lot of us didn't have chimneys.
But that was the story. But that was the story.
Lie.
Anyway, we just have to start questioning.
And these are not Georgia One views.
No,
but these
are views of Steve Cook.
This is a black man that is a successful black man in America, and he's having you to open up your conscience and think. Dive deep into something. Research for yourself. Don't just believe what anybody tell you, regardless of who it's coming from. Nope. Research for yourself.
Nope. Are you ready to get into a podcast? You ready?
I thought we was podcasting.
I mean, you ready to get into the topic or something?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we can kind of keep touching on this too, though.
We can.
This is real spill.
So okay. So here's what. This is something that you should consider. Why is there a holiday for every single month?
I don't celebrate none.
What's in February?
What is that about? Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day.
That ain't no holiday.
It's something for you to spend some money on now. Why is there something that is an attraction?
Colonialism is real.
Boom.
What's in May? I'm sorry.
We got two in May. It's Memorial Day.
It's something for you to spend money on every single month. But since we're on the topic of insurance, and I think we mentioned this in the last segment, and I'm gonna mention it again since we're talking about money. Why isn't life insurance mandatory when auto insurance is mandatory, renters insurance is mandatory, homeowners insurance is mandatory, but the most important entity on the planet, which is us, why isn't life insurance mandatory? That's a question that you have to ponder, that you got to ask yourself and go, that's interesting. Why?
Even health insurance is mandatory, but when you get to a certain thing or a certain issue with health, they don't even want you to have the life insurance.
Right, we talked about that. Too. It's like it insures them, but our life is not on them, so it's it's on you.
So, with that being said, I know we talked about whole life. I know we talked about term life. Today I want to touch on graded universal, and accidental. Now remember, in the earlier segments, I said to you guys, all of them are important. None is not important.
Right.
They all play a role. They're vehicles to take us from one place to another place, all of them. So your accidental death policy, banks love to offer it. So that if you bank with a major bank, next time you go into the building or online, you can ask if they have an accidental life insurance policy to add to my portfolio. Now, here's the deal with accidental. It doesn't pay from natural causes. It only pays if you pass in an accident.
Right.
And in a lot of cases, it doubles. So let's say the policy is $40,000, just as an example, and you pass in an accident, car accident, plane accident, motorcycle accident, tree fall on your head, slip in the shower. If something like that happens, and the face amount means the death benefit. Death benefit means what the beneficiary will receive. Beneficiary is the person that you put in charge of getting the check, all right? As opposed to 40, if it's in an accident, it'll double to 80. So that's what your accidental was about. And sometimes your accidental requires you to lose a limb, a leg or an arm before the payout.
Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
So why does the accidental double?
Great question. I don't know. That's a good question. But if you have accidental on your life insurance policy, it doubles from whatever the face amount is to whatever the double is, 10, 20, 30, 60, 40, 80. But I'm not positive. That's a good question. I have to look that up. The second vehicle, remember policies, I call them vehicles because they take you from one place to another place, is universal life. Now, universal life is a product that a lot of employers offer. Employers offer term and employers offer universal. Universal life works like this. You pay the actual company, right? The actual insurance company insures you over a period of time for less than what you pay. All right? If you're not careful or properly fund a universal life policy, it could decline on you and disappear. So here's how it works. Universal life policies, let's say the actual cost of insurance is $10, but you pay $50, okay? And you've been paying $50 for, let's just say, 20 years, okay? That extra, that additional, because you're paying $50, but it costs the company $10 to insure you. The additional money goes into your cash bucket. And over time, the cash bucket builds and builds and builds. But as you get older, the actual cost of insurance, what it costs the insurance company to insure you, as you get older, it increases. So you're paying $50. It was $10 at one point. Then it goes to $30. Then there comes a point in time where it goes to $60.
So let me ask a question with that one. So is that because your life expectancy is changing?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So as you become older, the cost of insurance increases. Now, here's a challenge. If you're not paying attention to your statement, you may not know that the cost of insurance is increasing. But I'm only
Yeah.
I'm only but I'm only paying $50. I'm only paying $50. That's what I pay the company.
Right.
Now the cost of insurance has gone to $60, but I'm paying $50. Where does the additional $10 come from? Your cash bucket. Because remember, for years the cost of insurance was lower than what I was paying. The additional was going into the cash bucket, building cash value.
Okay. So is it like equity being built in it?
You can say that.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
But here's the challenge. Now the cost of insurance to insure me with that company has gone to $60. How much am I paying? I told you I was paying.
Went to 60, so you paying $10
I'm still
more.
paying 50.
Oh,
right.
You still paying 50.
The additional 10 comes from my, you said the word, equity. Now I'm still paying 50, but the cost of insurance has gone to 80.
Okay.
Where's the 30 come from?
The cash bucket.
Yep.
Okay.
The equity. Now the cost of insurance has gone to 100. I'm only paying 50. Where does the additional 50 come from?
Your equity.
And I may not know it. What happens, class? What happens when my bucket, I'm only paying 50, when my bucket is empty? I have no more insurance.
I was just about to say.
And I didn't know it.
Wow, so
it's important to consult.
So they'll tell you like you don't have insurance, but they won't tell you when it raises.
Well, they'll tell you have insurance. Right, exactly, yes. You got it.
Great catch, Raymond.
You got it. Because now what they will say is, here's what they'll say. We sent you out a statement. Because quite honestly, it's not the insurance company's job to educate you. It's your job to read the fine print or hire somebody like me.
Need a broker.
That's going to assist and tell you what to do. Because if you don't get a broker, you could end up broker.
It's like literally.
Say that again.
If you don't hire a broker, you could end up broker.
Bars.
So that's kind of like.
It's like Apple Music when they be taking money out your account in the middle of the night.
Oh my God, $2.99 for nothing the other day for real. Like, I was like, what is this? And okay, I'm glad that we touched on this because a lot of us come into money, or we've been working diligently, and then when the money comes, we don't know how to use it, or how to invest it, what to do with it. And so, if you don't have a broker, you end up broker. The whole point of this series was not just about teaching you about insurance or why it's important. It's teaching you about financial literacy and how to make your money work for you instead of you working for it.
How to make your money work for you.
You need to make your money work for you instead of working for it. So just kind of piggybacking, not taking over this right quick, but just kind of piggybacking off the intro to this part of the series when Mr. Stevens said to where do these things come from? Thinking for yourself. A lot of times we're taught to be flashy, to put it all out there, but people with money for real, they might wear the same pair of shoes for 2-3 years and they talking to them before they take them off and change them. I be around a lot of millionaires and they don't show their money for real. So this is a word to the wise. Just because a person look like they may not have it does not mean they don't have it. Being financial literate is important for us because we are royal people. We are kings and queens. Make your money work for you instead of you working for it.
So, a rich man could play broke longer than a broke man could play rich.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you're right. You're absolutely right. If you work for money, you want to put the money in places where it can work for you and produce a profit, interest. And insurance is a good vehicle. Bricks, buildings, homes, rental property is a great vehicle. In my opinion, some may challenge this. The worst place to put your money is in the bank.
Amen.
Because if you take if you take $1,000, just using that as an example, and you put it in the bank and you leave it there, put it in the bank today, come back next year, this time, and look at what the interest is.
When you gonna be gone?
$1,
and you paying for
maybe
them to keep it after a certain amount.
So 1% of 1,000 is a 10 cent.
Yeah.
I'm not the mathematician, but in other words,
phones anyway.
right. So Perfect. So say that
That's
loud.
what I do. I don't like to say that
Okay.
loud, but I really
No,
do.
no. Because they're not sponsors of the podcast, so we're not
Okay.
gonna mention their name.
Mhm.
But what we will say is, since we're talking about stock market, we kind of veered off insurance just a hair. You're in the market. Open your pantry. Open your refrigerator. The items in your refrigerator or in your pantry, 9 times out of 10, are traded on the stock market from some company, whatever it may be. So what happens is you're in the stock market, you're participating from a consumer standpoint and not an investor standpoint. So whatever you like, if it's this product, that product, this product, invest in that product because you're a user of that product. You're a user of that ketchup. You're a user of that mustard. You're a user of that relish. You're a user of that mayonnaise. If that's your brand, buy some stock in that brand.
Get a return on your investment.
Boom. As Raven would say, bars. That part. You know. So
Shout out to my co-host in that part.
So we talked about accidental. We talked about universal. The last vehicle, because I told you guys I call insurance products vehicles. The last vehicle, or the next vehicle, because we probably could talk about IULs and annuities. But the graded product is a product that you may not qualify for a term, you may not qualify for a whole life, you may not even qualify for an accidental. A graded product, which is what they call guaranteed insurance. They don't ask very many health questions, if any. And what they do is they take your monthly premium and they put it into a bank account. And they hold it there for 2 years. They add interest to it. If you were to pass away within that 2-year period, they're going to give your beneficiary back the monthly premiums plus 10%. And in some cases, if you pass in the first year, they'll give you 30%, just depends on the company. But overall, you weren't healthy enough to qualify for day one coverage. So you ended up qualifying for what we call a braided or guaranteed insurance product. And what happens is if you pass away within that 2-year period, they will give your family back your monthly premiums, all of them, in most companies, plus 10%. Now, here's the thing about that. There's no bank in America that you could just put $300 or $400 a month, $200 a month, and get 10% back in interest.
Right.
It doesn't exist. So that's not a bad vehicle if that's what you qualify for. The bottom line right now to all of this is you have to do everything in your power to stay healthy.
And that's the bottom line, because Steve Cole Austin said so.
Thanks, Raven and Money. I like that. Let me ask you one more question then before we jump off. We don't want to hold y'all, but I know this info gonna hold y'all.
I do have one more question too.
There you go. So what if a person needs insurance?
Mm-hmm.
You want to get it for them because they're not able to get it for themselves.
Okay.
Is it possible to do that without them taking a physical?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
You mean in the physical?
Because I know with some, some policies, depending on the amount, you do need to have a health assessment.
Right, now depending on the amount, yes, you do need to have a physical done. And the company will send out the nurse for the blood work and the urine. But in a lot of cases, there's something called final expense. Final expense policies don't require any medical. And when I say medical, any blood or urine. They will base it upon your MIB, which is the Medical Insurance Bureau. And so with insurance, you qualify for insurance through your health and your age.
Right.
And whether or not you smoke.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we want to do everything in our power now to eat the right foods, drink enough water, exercise, so that we can stay as healthy as long as possible.
Health is our wealth, for real.
Period. And healthy is wealth, for real, for real.
So I know like each insurance is very important, right? But it's like anything that's just falls below the waistline.
You mean people forget about it?
Not even like forget about it, but it's not. You don't view it as such a big important thing as like maybe life insurance maybe or you know.
That's big. What we find is with insurance. Okay, let's put it this way.
Great question, right?
Awesome question. We have an insurance company, okay? Raven, Imani, and Britt Insurance Company, right? What's your primary goal? You're in business now. Primary goal in business.
Money, to make money. Profit.
Give me some.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't
That's correct.
want to sound bad.
That's correct. That's the primary goal, to make money.
Yes.
So now, if the life expectancy is 82, right? Who are you going to give more insurance to? A 50-year-old or a 5-year-old?
5.
For less money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the life expectancy for the 5-year-old is longer.
Right.
Right? So, I'm circling back around to Raven Imani's question, which was, why does it fall below the waist and people don't take it seriously? I believe that was the question, the general sense of the question.
It was what?
Which insurance is more like
more important, I guess.
Yeah, like what's the? I know they all are important, but like what's probably like the least important?
Well,
but that's a good one too.
Okay, so let me finish on that topic.
Yeah.
So now, what we must do, the reason we don't get insurance early is because 1, we're not talking about it.
Right.
As a family. 2, the younger we are, we think we're invincible, and I ain't gonna die. So I'm young.
I ain't gonna lie, when I was in middle school, I thought I was invincible. Like,
you know what I'm saying? So that's another reason. But more importantly, we don't talk about it.
yeah.
As a family, as a culture,
We're not taught as a culture because we taught to just go work. Like it's all go back to the first question you asked when we started.
Goes back to slavery.
And the
So
colonialism.
So now Raven Imani's question was, what is least important?
Of the insurances.
Oh.
Okay, so let's go back. We have whole, we have term, we have life, you have accidental, graded, and universal.
Right.
Woo!
So it really depends on really depends on age and health.
So it depends on you as a person. Got you.
And
That's
so
cool.
if you're asking me what's most important, and if I had to teach on one particular product, it would probably be a whole life product, whether that was a permanent product. It would be some type of whole life product that also generates cash, and that cash generating can never decline.
Got you.
So that would probably be a index universal life product. Because when you're indexing, now we're saying a lot here on this podcast, so you're going to want to go back and revisit. But when you index, you ride along with the S&P 500 as it rises.
Okay.
But when the S&P 500 dips, you stay right here where you were.
Okay.
You don't lose. So that would be, from my knowledge, that probably would be the product that I would push, that I would educate on if I could only educate on one, provided there was a stock market.
Okay.
Because I'm going to earn interest.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And when the stock market dips, I'm not going to dip. When the stock market goes this way, I'm going to stay still. It's going to get frozen.
So basically, that's the one that benefits us the most.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then when the stock market starts to rise again, I'm going to leave off right where I was and start to rise with it.
Okay.
Now your cash generates quicker.
Can you borrow? I know we may have covered this, and if I forgot, I apologize.
That's why we do it twice. It's okay.
Right? Can we borrow off of the whole?
Yes.
I'm thinking like, okay, you know how some policies or like 401k, if you have a major life change, you know, somebody, or maybe your child is going to college, you know, it was a death or something like that, tree fall on the house. which type of policies again is it that you can borrow off of?
You can borrow from a whole,
Okay.
but what I would recommend is an IUL, Index
IUL.
Universal Life. I would recommend that because you can borrow from that and not, to a certain point, not pay a penalty. So if I had, let's say we set Raven up with a universal life policy. I'm sorry, an index universal life policy, right? And we did that for her when she was 8. And we put $100 a month in that policy. And now, at 18, that policy has a lot of cash value.
Right.
So she can use that cash value to put down on a home.
And it's her money.
And it's her money.
Got it. Yes,
It's
ma'am.
my
Now-
money.
Now, as that policy earns interest and there's some gains, there's no way that she has to pay taxes on the gain. This is America.
Right.
They're gonna pimp you now. You
Pay
know.
them taxes.
So you gotta pay interest on the gain.
Yes.
Right, but you don't pay anything for borrowing the money.
Right.
But if you don't pay the money back and you pass, and let's say your face amount, which is the death benefit, which is what your beneficiaries get, let's say the policy was worth $260,000, but you borrowed $8,000. So now your beneficiaries will get what? $252,000 because you've already pulled some money off.
Right.
Gotcha.
And they're gonna tax that money too, right?
Which one?
The 252,000.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it's still sitting in your
Oh, it's still there.
Right.
Okay.
right, but no.
Wow. Well, this has been an amazing 3-part series.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stephen Cook.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I hope I can come back.
Of course you can.
Getting on to that. So we're gonna have a bonus part to this because we
Yes.
can't just stop this
We
series
can't
right
just stop
there.
it here.
So y'all get these questions in the comment section. Y'all done had time to figure them out, to go back and check every episode, just like Raven put on Sundays. It's time to binge the chopping block.
Yes.
We need y'all to go back and binge every part of this series.
Bam.
Get these questions, get these comments and DMs popping because we ready to make sure that you go to the next level. Not just us because we going, but we want to make sure that we take you with us. Okay? So go ahead and reach out to Mr. Stephen Cook. His info will be in the
Description down below.
there we go.
And make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you comment what you also want to talk about on future episodes of The Chopping Block.
Absolutely.
Bye!